A Hollywood A-lister leads a massive new sports drama for Netflix, while top Europe's filmmakers battle for early season awards glory. Plus, we discuss the unique voice and vision that would take Africa to claim its spot on the global stage. We'll be discussing these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions, both from the African front and the international scene. And thanks for joining me for this very episode of the Film Mandate. So we begin with our very first story. But before we delve into the very first story, just this past, I think, 2 days or so, we heard the sad news of the passing of Diane Keaton, who is what you would call a Hollywood royalty. And indeed, her passing has really been a massive blow, particularly on the film community and the numerous lives she touched from through her various films that she did. And she's been in several films from the Godfather, and that is admittedly for me, The Godfather is the very film that I watched. I remember seeing her in. I'm sure I've watched other films of hers, but I wasn't so sure. But she's really been prominent on the global scene, and her passing has really impacted. Has really, you know, caused a lot of sadness, in the lives of so many people. And we have several celebrities reaching out to, lend their condolence to this royalty, Diane Keaton, whose spirit and, volume of work has really impacted lives all over. So she's known for films like, Annie Hall, The Godfather trilogy, Father of the Bride, Something's Gotta Give, and The First Wives Club. And unfortunately, she passed Saturday in California at the age of 79. And these are some of the statements made by her comrades or colleagues in the film industry in Hollywood in particular. Robert De Niro shared a statement with a Hollywood reporter, and he said, "I'm very sad to hear of Diane's passing." And Robert De Niro starred with her in the Godfather trilogy. I think Godfather Part Two film. So yeah, so I'm very sad to hear of Diane's passing. I was very fond of her, and the news of her leaving has taken me totally by surprise. I was not expecting her to leave us. She will be missed. May she rest in peace. And that is Robert De Niro. We also have Bette Midler, who starred alongside Keaton and Goldie Hawn in 1996, The First Wives Club. Took to Instagram to write, "The brilliant, beautiful, extraordinary Diane Keaton has died. I cannot tell you how unbearably sad this makes me. She was hilarious, a complete original, and completely without guile or any of the competitiveness one would have expected from such a star. What you saw was who she was." Oh la la la. That is quite a tribute. Additionally, Hans' daughter and actress Kate Hudson shared a clip of three women in the film with the caption, "We love you so much, Diane." Francis Ford Coppola, Keaton's director, who directed her in the films The Godfather, also posted a tribute on Instagram. And this is what he has to say: "Words can't express the wonder and talent of Diane Keaton. Endlessly intelligent, so beautiful. From her earliest performances in Hair and throughout her amazing career, she was an extraordinary actor." He wrote, "I saw her in the film Lovers and Other Strangers and knew I had to have her play Kay in The Godfather, which she told me she based on my wife, Ellie, and her wonderful work in Annie Hall, while simultaneously setting a new fashion trend. Everything about Diane was was creativity personified. That is a touching, tribute. Steve Martin, whom she starred alongside in 1991's Father of the Bride. Yeah, I remember watching this film as well. Shared a clip of a 2021 interview she did with Martin Short for Interview magazine, in which Shorts asks Keaton, who's sexier, me or Steve Martin? And Keaton replies, I mean, you are both idiots. Martin captioned the post, don't know who first posted this, but it sums up our delightful relationship with Diane. Nancy Meyers, who wrote Baby Boom and The Father of the Bride films, and wrote and directed Something's Gotta Give, look back on their close working relationship. And this is what she said: "As a woman, I lost a friend of almost 40 years. Wow, that would be very impactful on her. At times over those years, she felt like a sister because we shared so many truly memorable experiences." Meyers wrote in part on Instagram Monday, "As a filmmaker, I've lost a connection with an actress that one can only dream of." And I mean, let's take one last one. And I mean, there's so much. I mean, let's read on. Keaton's book club co-star Candace Bergen said in a statement to THR, "This is a huge loss, both personally and for all of us. Diane was a true artist, tremendously gifted and uniquely talented in so many disciplines, yet also modest and wonderfully eccentric. I will miss her terribly." Mary Steenbergen, who also shared a statement with THR, which read, "Diane was magic. There was no one, nor will there ever be anyone like her. I loved her and felt blessed to be her friend. My love to her family. What a wonder she was." And these are wonderful attributes from, all these stars who, I mean, the what I've heard about her is that she's a very lovable person, very kind, and for a lot of people who spoke about her, she defined fashion for a lot of women in, throughout her films and her life as well, and it is indeed sad that, 79 years, she's quite young, she's quite young, but we do not know what life has for us, along the way. And it is indeed sad that we've lost such a prominent individual. For what I watched in The Godfather, she's an amazing actress, amazing actress, being able to emote such emotions that, I mean, emote such emotions on, body language, everything, to the extent that you could feel her presence, you could feel what she's going through, and that is indeed wonderful. I mean, to have left such, a legacy for us to still behold. She'll be so. I mean, she'll be sorely missed. You have other actors like Leonardo DiCaprio, Keanu Reeves, both of whom start with her, also sharing such wonderful tributes about her. And indeed, I mean, I'm not sure we ever have such an actress of her caliber. I mean, yes, the other actresses as well, but in terms of what she personified, that creativity and all, definitely there will not be anyone like her ever again. So may her soul rest in peace, and condolences to her family and all the loved ones who are mourning her loss. So that is Diane Keaton for you. So let's now delve into our very first story. And this story, way before I was born, what would you do if you are a country and you experience such a massive loss, losing your boxing team who are heading for the Olympics in Russia in 1980? And this is the story of America when they lost their team into when they were going to the Olympics in Russia in 1980, and it led to the federation to bring in another person to prepare another team for the 1984 Olympic Games, which was held in the Los Angeles. Well, we have then none other than the talented Jamie Foxx leading a massive blockbuster for Netflix with regards to this story titled Fight for 84. And in this particular story, they have announced a number of, a roster of actors who are starring in this film. And this film is currently shooting in New Jersey in America. And it is quite interesting. Let's take a brief look at the article published on the Netflix website. And this is what it has to say. So that is Jamie Foxx with the director theirs. And this is what it says, that the Fight for 84 cast is ready for the ring. And it says that, are you ready to rumble? Because the cast of upcoming drama Fight for 84 certainly is. Oscar winner Jamie Foxx will lead the film as the new coach of the US Olympic boxing team. After the original team is tragically killed in a plane crash in 1980, Fox's character must rebuild the squad from scratch. Fight for 84, helmed by Narcos and Griselda director Andreas Bez, follows the group on their journey to sports history. And this is what I like about what the director said. He said that teaming up with Jamie Foxx is incredibly exciting. Bez says he's an exceptional actor with unmatched range and brings realness and depth you can't fake. As a star and producer, he brings passion and truth to the role. I'm eager to learn from him and through honest direction, help him tap into something raw and deeply. Let's move quickly to the number of actors who are starring in this film, and it's quite, it's quite a range of different actors from both the TV and the movie front, and I think some new ones also joining in, and it's quite a rich roster of actors. So we have Jamie Foxx himself, Ray winning for Ray, and also starring in Ali, as well. And he's been rumored to actually be part of a biopic of Mike Tyson, almost forever, almost over a decade now. But he is leading this. We also have Malachi Beasley from the House of Dynamite, Shea Wingham from American Primeval and Broadwalk Empire. We also have Dan Perrault from The Residence and American Vandal, and Will Chase from Dope Sick Stranger Things, one of the Netflix's most popular film series. We have Algie Smith from Euphoria and Detroit, Jameer Cope, Michelle Edwards from All American Homecoming and The First Purge, and Al Shabazz Jabathe from Bel Air and Grotesque Curry, and Trey McBride, Xavier Mills, Forever and Chad Powers, Adrian Martinez from Unfrosted and Crouch, and we have Javier Bolaños from Casa Grande the movie. So these are the list of cast that the current, that they are starring in this particular film. And currently it's being filmed in the New Jersey area. So it is indeed a production that has already been greenlit and in the process as well being filmed right now. But I like what the director did say, particularly about the production. It is quite touching, and this is what he said, that the film is not really about glory. How the boxing team actually went on to win, all the accolades, majority of the accolades during the Los Angeles 1984 Olympic Games. This is what he actually said, that this is about second chances and about rebuilding after loss and about finding strength through connection. And I felt it's such a beautiful statement to have made, because most drama films or about boxing or sports in general always has to do with the glory, and obviously in this film we'll have that represented as well. But I think the key thing to this is about how they dealt with the loss after the tragic events that happened in 1980, and how that loss spurred them on to win majority of the titles for the 1984 Los Angeles, events. And that is quite amazing. I like this direction they are taking. And this actually is quite similar to the film We Are Marshall, which has to do, that one has to do with a college team, a college team in the US, where the Marshall University, where you had Matthew McConaughey starring as the coach who was brought in to rebuild the team from scratch. The team also tragically met their end in a plane crash as well. So he had to come and rebuild the confidence of the team, set up a new team, and make it work out as well. So I can imagine that if I'm to draw any parallels with any particular production, the We Are Marshall movie could be the one that you can compare it with, and that is quite interesting. But to tell the truth, I do not know much of these boxes. I was not born at the time, but from the list of all the real life boxers who were in the film, I can see one person in there who is very familiar, whom I knew. I'm not so much into sports, but at least for him, I knew, I mean, I can tell who he was, and that is Evander Holyfield in the far, right hand corner of this very picture. So these were the team that were selected, and they went to win a number of titles or medals for US. And there in your shot is Evander Holyfield, the very one in the far, right hand corner. So I think this film would be good, and it would indeed be quite impactful to see how not just the team, but America as a whole dealt with a loss and finally came to win several awards. And I'm excited about this. And to see the Knuckles director helm this means that this particular production is in good hands, coupled with the fact that Jamie Foxx is also helming, producing together with them. So it is indeed exciting, and I'm hoping they bring the very best out of this, because it's also quite a sensitive story, even though, yeah, it's been over 40 years when this tragic event happened. But I think it has to be handled tactfully so that the memories of those who were lost are honored, and also be a form of inspiration for um, perhaps current events happening now, for those who are in the field of boxing and even in America as a whole. So it's quite a powerful project I think they are working on. And I'm certain that they are going to bring out the very best from this production. And that will be exciting to see. So Fight for 84 is based on a true story of rebuilding after tragedy. What other real life sports stories would you love to see adapted for the screen? I mentioned one, and that has been done already. That is We Are Marshall, starring Matthew McConaughey, which has to do with the Marshall University. If you know of any other sports tragic stories that happened in the past, let me know that in the comment section below. So moving on from Netflix, we now move to the Oscars, the Oscar Minute, a segment that I've titled Oscar Minute, which I bring to you details of countries who are presenting or who have submitted films with the hope that it will be nominated into the best international feature category. So this time around, it is the time for Saudi Arabia, and they are sending in Hijra as their film to represent their country of Saudi Arabia. Let's take a quick look at the Arab News website, and this is what it has to say. The Saudi film Hijra submitted to represent Kingdom at Oscars, and it's a story of women navigating identity, says director Shabad Amin, shot against backdrop of the Hajj in 8 Saudi cities over 55 days. So the Saudi Film Commission has chosen Hijra to represent the kingdom at the next year's 98 Academy Awards. The movie has been selected for the Best International Feature Film category at the Oscars, which will be held in Los Angeles in March 2026, the Saudi press agency reported on Monday. Chosen by a committee of prominent Saudi Arabia filmmakers and industry specialists, the film The movie will compete against dozens of submissions from around the world. The Academy shortlist is announced after several stages, the SPA reported. Released in August at the Venice International Film Festival, the movie is an exploration of female identity across generations. The feature follows a grandmother, Kairia Nazmi, and her granddaughter, Lamar Fedan, as they journey across the northern Saudi Arabia to find a missing teenage girl. Shot over more than 55 days in 8 Saudi cities, Taif, Jeddah, Medina, Wadi Al Farah, Al Lula, Tabuk, Neom, and Duba, the story unfolds against the backdrop of the Hajj. It's a story of women navigating who they are and understanding what freedom means to them. Director Shabad Amin told Arab News in September. The film won the NetPAC Award for Best Asian Film last month. And Amin actually has released a couple of films in the past, Scales, which was chosen as Saudi Arabia's submission for the 93rd. So this director has, a foray with the festival, with the, Oscars already. So that is quite interesting to see that Saudi Arabia are tendering in a production for the Oscars, with regards to the best international feature. So it's left to be seen whether this film will actually be picked among several films, over 100 films being submitted for the best international feature. And the Oscar slots for the best international feature only has 15. So it's quite a tight race as to whether this film will be selected or not. Well, we are left to see. So that wraps up the segment Oscar Minutes for this episode. So we delve talking about Oscar awards and, just award seasons in general. Well, the European Film Awards is just around the corner to be held in Berlin in January. And already they have provided a massive short list of films that are yet to be nominated for, that are yet to be nominated for the European Film Awards. So let's delve into what it has to offer, particularly with regards to the films that are in contention by a number of top European filmmakers and more. So the Hollywood Reporter has reported saying that Oscar contenders Bugonia, Sentimental Value, it was just an accidental make the EFA shortlist. And these are, Oscar contending films, and it's quite an interesting revelation. So, pardon me. Yeah, so several of this year's hottest award season contenders, including Yorgos Lanthimos' Bugonia, starring Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, and Joachim Treyer's Sentimental Value with Renate Reinsve, Stellan Skarsgård and Elle Fanning, and international feature contenders, It Was Just an Accident, and The Voice of Hind Rajab have made a short list of the 2026 European Film Awards. The European Film Academy on Tuesday unveiled its quite long short list of contenders for the 2026 awards, naming the features, documentaries, and animated films that qualify for next year's events, which will be held in Berlin on January 17th. In addition of Jafar's Panahi's Cannes Palme d'Or winner, It Was Just an Accident, and Cannes Prize winners Sentimental Value, Sound of Fallen, Sarat, and Pelion, the shortlist includes several of this year's festival favorites, including Dag Johan, How Garud's Berlin winner Dreams, Paolo Sorrentino's Venice Festival opener La Grazia, and Teresa in Votova's Zurich Festival winner Father. Many of Europe's international Oscar contenders are in the EFA running, including Norway's Sentimental Value, France's It Was Just an Accident, Germany, Sound of Fallen, and Switzerland Late Shift, and Belgium Young Mother. So it is quite a huge list of films that have been nominated, of which I don't think I can mention all, but it is quite a voluminous list. And it is indeed exciting to see all this list make it for this European Film Awards. And previously, it always comes after the Oscars, I mean, in terms of the event itself, but the organizers have sort of brought it forward prior to the BAFTAs and the, what's it called, the Oscars itself. And I'm sure one of the key reasons for that is that a number of these films actually, most often than not, actually goes on to win the Oscars itself. So it is indeed of no surprise that they want to position it so that just as you have certain film festivals like the Cannes, Venice, Berlinale and others, the TIFF, Toronto itself, having films from these festivals go on to win the Oscars, they want to do same as well. And it does make sense that they would want to move the date forward prior to the event itself. And you have films like, some films already participating in this event, just as the article has said, have been earmarked to either win Best International Feature or actually, win the Best, picture category. So they are films that are highly rated to contend in the Oscars race and possibly or potentially win, if not the film itself, the directors or actors as well. So it is quite a prestigious event with regards to European um, film awards. And honestly, I think it's exciting because throughout this year, from the middle part of this year, with regards to the international awards, you see the international feature category, you have a lot of countries presenting. And even way before the Oscars race got heated up, you have films which have been already earmarked to participate heavily. And it's no surprise that a number of these films have actually been tipped to be nominated one way or the other into the Oscars. So for some of the films already showing up in a number of these prestigious awards, it won't be of any surprise if they end up being nominated, in the Oscars. So it is something that I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to. So, the EFA ceremony itself, indeed, it's a ceremony to watch out for, particularly if these ones that have been earmarked to win the Oscar, to be nominated for the Oscars, end up winning, awards in the EFA, then its ranking will be high up the notch rather than just a potential film to be nominated for the Oscar. So it's something that I'm sure filmmakers around the world and contenders around the world will be looking closely at to see whether it would end up winning or nabbing an award at the you know at the ceremony, so to speak. So, indeed, we'll be looking forward with closeness to see which Oscar hopefuls are going to win the EFA, which indeed will tip the scale differently. So let me know what you think with regards to this particular, event, which will be held in January 17th. And let me know what you think. Which films are likely to potentially, end up in the nomination when they find this is just a short list. So which ones will end up in the nominations and which ones are likely to win? And if they win, are they potentially going to also win the BAFTAs and the Oscars as well? Well, whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. So we'll move on from this story to yet another story, but on the front from Africa. And of so many issues bordering Africa, one of the major challenge is funding for African films. And sometimes it is quite difficult to navigate around it. Well, in this next story, one filmmaker, regardless of whether she's receiving funding or not, and regardless of how popular, because of the heritage she inherited from her father, well, she has decided that regardless of anything at all, she's still going to pursue her dreams and see the films that she so much desire to be made. So We are going to take the story of none other than Susaba Sise, the daughter of Suleiman Sise, who has done a documentary that speaks volumes to, her tenacity and her determination to make her voice be known from the country of Mali. So let's delve into this very exciting story. It is quite a powerful story, and I'm wondering whether if I were to be in the shoes as a filmmaker, would I have been able to continue making the film? And let me just read a story so you understand what I'm talking about. So we'll take the story from the Nollywood Reporter, not to be confused with the Hollywood Reporter, but the Nollywood Reporter. And this is what it says, that Susaba, why African cinema requires courage, responsibility, and vision. In Mali, where cinemas have vanished and funding is scarce, filmmaker Susaba Sise risk everything to create Beware, a documentary that confronts conflict and demands visibility. And it is quite a powerful production. So this is what, this is actually the poster of the film, the documentary film that she has directed. So minutes, and this is the powerful part of it all. Minutes after Susaba Sise and her crew drove down a road in central Mali, it exploded. Several people died, yet they kept filming. Wow. And this wasn't recklessness. It was the price of making Beware, a documentary about Mali's unraveling that no one with institutional backing would touch. Sise shot it in territories controlled by armed groups, speaking with massacre survivors in Bambara, their shared language, building trust in places where trust has become a luxury most can't afford. And that is her in your short, the daughter of Suleiman Sise, who won a Cannes Award in the year 1978, if I'm not mistaken, in the year 1978 for a film titled, is it Live? Live? I don't even know how to pronounce the name, pardon me. But her tenacity to tell a story, even in the midst of adversity, even when she faces grave danger, even when she has been met with explosion, when people died, around her, she still pressed on because those stories ought to be told. And honestly, she's such a brave soul and an inspiration for, I would say an inspiration for myself because, for some of us, when we are met with a little trouble, we just give up. But she didn't. In the face of all this adversity and still pending danger, she went ahead to tell these stories, and that is quite remarkable of her to do. And it speaks of how powerful storytelling is when in the face of adversity you still end up telling your story because then it means so much. It doesn't just it moves from just becoming just a story to be told to becoming a mission, becoming a lifelong journey mission. And that is what she embarked on doing. And she's quite a remarkable filmmaker who has been who has been working with the father for so many years. Her foray into the filmmaking business started way when she was even literally a baby, because her father actually used made her star in a film that he directed, and it's quite an amazing journey that she has been on. And she's also been an assistant director when she was in her teens, and she helped the father actually make a lot of films growing up. As an assistant director, and as also a researcher in a way. So his father made the film Yilen, a film which won the Cannes, the jury prize at Cannes, and unfortunately, her father passed this year in February 2025. Passed in February. Suleiman Sise is said to be the godfather of African cinema, and rightly so. The films that he has made has impacted a lot of African, filmmakers, quite a number of African filmmakers uh, who plays Africa front and center in the films they make. I think one of the notable names in recent years would be Blitz Bazawule, who directed The Burial of Kojo and also went on to direct the Color Purple. And he is an avid student of African cinema, and one of the people he looks up to is Suleiman Sisse. And I'm very certain that he follows the work of the daughter as well, Susaba Sisse as well. So it is indeed quite interesting. And you should read the entire article. I will leave the entire article in the description below for you to take a read at, because they interview her to talk about how he went about capturing these interviews when majority of these survivors barely don't want to trust anybody because they are skeptical as to who is a friend and who is not. And one of the things that she spoke about indeed is quite powerful. So she was asked the question, and this is what she said. How do you convince people who've survived massacres to trust you with their story? And her response is powerful. It says, it was not easy at all. Many told me if I take this risk to speak, it's only because I want my country to move forward. And it's quite powerful. It's quite powerful. I would read a number of the stories that she has shared. So she went on to say that it was not easy at all. So that responsibility sometimes, let me read exactly what they said. If I take this risk to speak, it's only because I want my country to move forward, for my children to have a better future. I don't speak for this film to stay in a drawer. So that responsibility sometimes intimidated me. That is Susaba speaking. But it also gave me the strength to overcome obstacles. I knew my mission went far beyond me as a filmmaker and citizen. It was about giving a voice to those who have none. Thanks to a wonderful team, despite the fact that we had no institutional funding, we managed to complete the project. This film is also a tribute to my late father, Suleiman Sisse. His passing reinforced my conviction to continue on his path, the courage to defend social causes despite intimidation and risk, and the duty to preserve memory for peace and for the future of generations to come. And I feel that what she said here, it is powerful. In the face of all this danger, she still went ahead to make this film, even when she had no funding. So literally, there was no way to talk about even making sure that this film will be shot to completion is another story altogether. And then with the reference, with the context where she found herself in, where when their bus just took off, explosion happened and people died right in front of her, and yet she went on to make sure that this story was completely told. And that is quite amazing. And she's done a couple of films. She's passionate about stories that affect women from Mali in particular, from female genital mutilation to other pertinent stories that bother women. She's done it all, and not just that, but also their story goes on to speak on the broader spectrum of how wars and other atrocities hamper the progress of a nation which is said to be very united and said to be of one father and one mother, is torn by war. And sometimes when you hear some of these stories, you wish, you wonder why that should happen. A man looking in the face of another, their own blood. Well, it's sad to say, but I'm glad that she has the heart of a warrior and has gone on to tell these stories that impacts our lives so massively. So It is indeed, this story is a story that ought to be told without any, apologies whatsoever. And she indeed has done that. And I like what she said because her film, indeed, she also spoke about the fact that a lot of film festivals is the way that our films get to go out there into the global stage and ends up being told. And she feels that more of these things should be done to bring limelight into on a lot of African films that are being made that has the potential to educate the world about what Africa really is about and not from their own perhaps skewed perspective, which may not be their fault, but perhaps maybe as a result of false narratives perpetrated about us as Africans. And I like how she went about answering these questions. It's quite a lengthy article, but then she addresses a number of things that really speaks to African cinema and why we should never give up, why we need to pursue in telling our stories regardless of funding, regardless of, I mean, even in the face of danger, we should go on and tell our story. And I like what she said about this. And honestly, I'm hoping this travels far and wide to win several awards so that her good work that she's done is actually recognized and commended as such for that. So her film actually is set to be screened at the 2025 Silicon Valley African Film Festival. And that is indeed an exciting point to have her film being acknowledged internationally on the world stage. And I'm indeed happy. The daughter of the godfather of African cinema, Suleiman Sise, it is indeed exciting to see her step out with this documentary, this powerful documentary that ought to be seen. And hopefully soon it should be on digital where every one of us will get to see what she has in store in that film for us all. And that ends my story for today's episode. Let me know what you think about what she has said. What does a courageous and responsible African cinema mean to you? What stories from the continent are you most eager to see told? And that indeed wraps up my stories for today. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Pardon me for the lagging in my internet connection. It has to do with the poor elements, poor weather where I am. So pardon me if there is a break in my transmission. So all too soon, I've come to an end of today's episode of the Film Mandate. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and thanks so much for joining me for this episode. I'll be coming your way with another live show tomorrow, same time, 11, actually today, starting from today, 11:45 p.m. into the next day, and I'll be glad if you join me as well. So don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video so that more people can join and support what I'm doing. And I appreciate every like, I appreciate every view that have been given to me. So thanks so much for supporting me and encouraging me to come this far. So also soon I come to an end to this episode, and I'll come your way again tonight. My name is Papa Otu, and this has been the Film Mandate. I'll see you soon.